Okay. Rabotai, David Zaytuni, he picked this topic. He spoke a little bit about it, but we're going to speak about it again in his honor. And that is, he writes over here, the Pillar Hits, Yitgaber kari lakofet yitzro v'la'atzor b'milin. You have to be strong in order to stop yourself from speaking about the wrong things. Ki be'emet amru, the rabbis teach us, Milah basela mashtoka betren. What does that mean, milah basela? If I would say to speak is $100, to keep quiet is $200. Because a person has to understand, the second he speaks and he says the wrong things, that can't be taken back. That can't be taken back. How many times it says that a person, if he keeps quiet, umatun, what does he bring down? You keep quiet, what happens? Automatically you get saved from a lot of crazy things. He brings that over there. A person in his anger, especially when he gets angry, a person has to understand, when a person gets angry, you just speak out every single thing that comes into your being. So therefore, especially then, one guy last night, he called me, he started ramping and raging. He made a mistake. I said, what was the mistake? He said, some guy, he brushed me the wrong way and I blobbered out my mouth like a machine gun. You have to be very, very careful. And you can't take those words back. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm sorry I said it. You already said it. You already said it. You already hurt the person. You know, they say, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You never heard that growing up? Guess what? It's not true. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but at the end of the day, eventually you get fixed. Your bones will get fixed. But words will never hurt me. The words already were said. A person comes over to me and says, you're good for nothing, you're a loser, you're a zift, you're nothing. How many times do we see children? They're growing up in yeshiva, they're growing up this, they get stamped. What do they say? Oh, they look at the child without them knowing. All of a sudden what they say? The child has ADD. Meanwhile, he doesn't have ADD. What's ADD? Attention Deficiency Disorder. So the whole entire time, the kid thinks that he's deficiency disorder. He thinks that he has a disorder, and his whole life he grows up thinking, any school, it happens in any school. I know a friend, his whole life, they told him attention deficiency disorder, forget about it. His whole life he was like that. Everybody knows the famous story with Thomas Edison, right? Everybody knows, right? What happened with it? What happened? What happened was very simple. I'll tell you very, very quickly. He got a letter from what? From his school. He gives it to his mother. He was 12 years old. He gives it to his mother, and it reads. And his mother sees it and starts crying tears. It says, "Your dear son is too much of a genius. We can't have him in this school no more. Please find him another school." What happens? His mother reads that letter, and he goes on and he says, listen, I'm going to give you a private tutor. She gets him a private tutor, and they learn and they study and they learn and they study. Finally, he ends up being one of the biggest inventors of the world, right? Like we know, Thomas Edison, he was one of the biggest inventors of the world. I'm saying physically, all right? Stole the idea, I don't know what happened, but at the end of the day, his mother dies. His mother eventually, after 120, his mother dies, and he comes back and he goes through papers. And he finds out one of the papers that the school had when he was a child. And he reads that letter and it says, to Mrs. Edison, you should know, your son has a very big deficiency. He is too slow for the class. We can't accept him in the school. Please find him another school. He's officially expelled. And his mother saw that. His mother didn't want to crack the kid. His mother didn't want to break down this child into pieces. So what'd she say? You're a good boy. You're too much of a genius. What did the boy think his whole mind, his whole life? That he's a genius. He thinks that he could conquer the world. You know, growing up in school, I had a friend. And the whole entire time, they kept on telling him. He was just passing the grades, and he was this, he was that. The whole time they were telling him, oh, yeah, you know, you have ADD, you have ADD, you have ADD, you have ADD. He grew up thinking his whole life he can't succeed, be a successful person. You know that? True story. Finally, they kicked him out of the school. The kid felt terrible. The kid said, what can I do to get back in? and he was older now. He was already in high school. He made a deal with the principal. He told me first-hand story. He made a deal with the principal. The principal said, if you get over a 90 average to the next school that you go to, after 1 year, I'll accept you back. He went to a different school, and he got over a 90 average. Over a 90 average. What happened? I thought he had ADD. I thought he had all these things. The answer is, he didn't have that. He didn't have that. He needed a motivation. Well, when a guy, he's not concentrating, right? How come when he's having a steak, all of a sudden he knows how to concentrate? When he's having his ice cream ice cream sundae with hot fudge and sprinkles and cookie crunch, he knows how to concentrate. What happened over there? How come when he's counting the money, he finished the day's work, all of a sudden the guy who can't focus, he can go for an hour straight counting on 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. What happened over there? The answer is, when you want something, you're going to be able to concentrate. Obviously, there was something wrong. Obviously, maybe he didn't have that motivation. But when he went to other school, he had that motivation. Correct? Yes or no? He had that motivation. He needed to get back into high school. He wanted to get a 90-point average. And therefore, he's saying, be careful with your words. Be careful with your words. Heaven forbid, imagine a girl's growing up, and all of a sudden, the kids in school, what do they say? Oh, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat. She's really not that fat. She's a little bit. She's not that fat. All of a sudden they say fat, you're fat, you're fat. The whole thing, she has a complex in her brain. She's fat. That's it. She's fat. She grows up. She's thinking she's fat. But she's not so fat. What happened? The answer is the words could kill a person. Sticks and stones will break my bones. Words like it's not true. The words could kill a person. The whole life she's thinking, oh, now she's fat. That's it. But she's not so fat. What happened? The answer is it got stung. I told you the famous thing with the elephant, right? The famous thing with the elephant. They took an elephant. They took a small elephant. And when he was born, what did they do? They tied a chain on the leg of the elephant. They tied the chain of the elephant, right? And what happens? What happens? Later on, when the kid became older, they took off the chain of the elephant, and they told him walk. They hit him walk. The guy didn't walk. He was stuck. Why? Because he always thought that he was stuck on a chain. Because when he was younger, all he had was a chain, and every time he tried moving, he couldn't move forward. When a person speaks all the time negative about another person, and he's always feeling like that, he actually comes to believe it, and he can't grow out of his bubble. He thinks that he's stunned for life in that point. And that's why he's saying, be careful with your words. Words is worth a thing, and how much more you can lift up a person. Imagine telling me you're a good person, you're a tzaddik, you're a this, you're a that. You can become a great person. With one word, you can lift up the guy. All of a sudden, yeah, really, I'm a tzaddik. And I'll conclude with one last point. True story that happened. I know this person personally, and this happened a few years back. About a few years ago, I sent a boy to yeshiva. Sent a boy to yeshiva. I'm not going to mention the yeshiva I was sent to, but listen to what happened. He was going to a not such a good yeshiva. I sent him like a not religious yeshiva, and he went to a religious yeshiva now. And what happened was, a year later, I was in Israel for the year. I came back. I said, where are you? I said, where are you? I sent you this yeshiva. He says, yeah, every Shabbat I would go to learn once a week. And I felt so good about myself. I went ahead and I told one of the guys, I said, listen, look, I feel so good. Look, I'm steiging away. I'm learning away. And this boy, whatever his intentions were, not intentions, he was not such a good person, as they say. And he said to the boy, you think that you could learn Gemara? How long are you here for? A year. Every Shabbat you come to learn once a week, right? 1 hour? Come, let me see. Open up. And he started opening up. The guy felt so bad because he felt that, he's right. I don't know how to read. Because he didn't get to that level yet, but he would have been getting to that level yet. And the boy left yeshiva. True story. True story. I know where the boy is today. Yeah, he's pretty much in the dumps. Yeah. You see what one word could do? You see what one word could do? Therefore, a person has to be careful with his words. And how much more so if a person uplifts a person? How much more so than we know when people say, you know, you're the best, come to Minyan, come again, I love you, you're the best, your encouragement. How many times? You know, even children, they say, growing up, compliment the father. I know one scenario. It happened to me this week. This Sunday it happened to me. I had a boy. The father called me up, emergency, Rabbi, you have to come to my house now. I will pick you up wherever you are. Come right now. He picked me up. I was on East 8th Street Avenue S. He said, okay, I'll pick you up, Rabbi, right now. He picks me up. And we're talking to the boy. And the boy is shambling the son. The father is saying over to the son, because he was doing something that wasn't so appropriate. And he started shambling the son. And finally the son got up and he started screaming. And he said, Daddy, how come every time I do something wrong, you always bash me? And when I do something good, you don't compliment me. My whole life. And he started saying, the boy started saying, I did this good, and I did that good, and I did that good, and I did this, and I did that. Everything I did good. You never told me, son, I love what you do. But when it came to the things that I did wrong, you came with me with a whip screaming at me. Compliment me, compliment me. As we have to know. Our words could destroy. Our words could destroy, but our words also could uplift. We use our words properly. Compliment people. Say they're doing well. Say they're doing good. Yeah this, yeah that. Especially the children. Especially also the wives. What happened with the wives? She cooks an awesome dinner every single night. She's cooking good dinner. Dinner's good, dinner's good, dinner's good. You don't give one compliment. All of a sudden you come home, the dinner's burnt. Honey, why is the dinner burnt? For a month straight I'm cooking you dinner. I'm making the best dinner. What do you say? How come the dinner's burnt tonight? How come the other 29 days you didn't say the dinner's good? All of a sudden the last day the dinner's burnt, you tell me something to compliment? You bash me about that? Person's got to use his words correctly. And when a person's got to use his correctly, he can either build people or he can destroy people. It's up to the words, the statement that you say.
Oh, here's something